If 2025 felt like a gold rush for AI startups, 2026 is when the real cities get built. The tools that made Lovable a unicorn in under a year are now available to everyone, including your competitors. 2026 marks the first year where AI startup is not a novelty, but the default expectation for new tech companies. Investors, customers, and even regulators now assume your product has some form of intelligent automation baked in. AI startups captured close to half of global venture funding in 2025, with over $200 billion flowing into the sector. Mega rounds for players like OpenAI, Anthropic, xAI, and Figure AI signaled that AI is not a hype cycle, but a new infrastructure layer. Seed-stage AI startups raised at a premium around 40% higher valuations than non-AI peers because markets believe in their growth potential. For founders, this means 2026 offers a rare combination: abundant capital for credible AI ideas, mature tooling to move fast, and a clear path from solo hacker to global product. Lovable stands as the clearest symbol of what became possible in 2025. The company turned an open-source AI coding project into what many now call the fastest-growing SaaS startup ever. Lovable lets users describe software in natural language and get production-ready apps, back-end, auth, billing, infrastructure generated automatically. The platform rebranded in late 2024 with a mission that anyone can create software people love, shifting from a developer tool to a broad creation experience. By early 2025, Lovable hit double-digit millions in annual recurring revenue, and within about 8 months, it reached around 100 million in annual recurring revenue and millions of users. Funding followed the traction. A Series A in early 2025 led into a unicorn-level round within the same year, with valuations moving into multi-billion territory as investors competed to back the growth. For a 2026 founder, Lovable demonstrates 3 critical ideas. First, AI as leverage. Its core advantage is not a niche feature, but radical speed in shipping full products. Second, vertical explosion. Lovable's own CEO openly talks about non-technical professionals, doctors, teachers, financial experts, using the platform to spawn specialized AI startups. Third, capital efficiency. High revenue per employee and rapid ARR growth created investor confidence, showing that AI-native startups can scale without massive headcount. The lesson is simple: the biggest wins go to teams that treat AI not as a feature, but as the engine that changes who can build, how fast they can launch, and what economics look like. With so much funding chasing AI, the biggest risk in 2026 is building yet another generic chatbot. AI-native founders need to anchor on painful, specific problems. Investors in 2025 favored AI teams solving complex challenges in fields like healthcare, finance, logistics, and retail areas where efficiency and accuracy have clear monetary value. Many of the top-funded AI companies position themselves as infrastructure or deeply specialized applications, not AI for everything. A good 2026 problem has 3 traits: clear economic value, where you can point to time saved, revenue unlocked, or risk reduced; data access, where you can legally and practically obtain the data needed to train or fine-tune models; and workflow integration, where the AI fits into existing tools and processes rather than asking users to change everything. Resources emerging in 2025 began codifying this into frameworks and checklists. Understand core AI capabilities, map real-world use cases, and pressure test whether AI actually improves outcomes, not just demos. Before writing code, founders should interview potential users, walk through their existing workflows, and document where latency, cost, or accuracy are causing real pain. In 2026, you cannot afford a 9-month build cycle before market feedback. The tooling landscape gives founders an advantage that did not exist even a few years earlier. Platforms like Lovable now let people describe their product in plain language and generate full applications, from front-end to back-end to deployment. Cloud providers and AI platforms ship ready-made components for auth, storage, and model hosting, so early teams can focus on the unique value layer. A practical AI MVP in 2026 should use hosted models or APIs at first, even if you plan to optimize or self-host later. Rely on no-code or low-code tools for non-core pieces like landing pages, billing, and user management, and include at least one end-to-end workflow a user can complete without your help. Guides aimed at 2025 and 2026 founders emphasize starting with a narrowly scoped, testable product, one workflow, one persona, and a clear promise like, reduce this task from 2 hours to 5 minutes. The key is to treat AI as a flexible component. If your first model choice fails, you can swap it. What must endure is the workflow design and the learning from real users. As AI moved from novelty to infrastructure through 2024 and 2025, customers became more skeptical. Impressive demos no longer guarantee adoption. Enterprises investing in AI in 2025 cared about reliability, security, and explainability, not only model benchmarks. Repeat funding and late-stage capital went to AI companies that proved they could safely handle data, maintain uptime, and fit into compliance requirements. In 2026, an AI startup that wins trust provides clear feedback and controls, so users can correct outputs, see confidence levels, and override automation. Handles data responsibly with encryption, access control, and explicit policies around training data and retention. And communicates limits by being honest about what the system cannot do to build credibility. Founders can draw on emerging best practice playbooks and legal toolkits, standard templates for IP assignment, founder agreements, and incorporation structures designed for AI teams. The goal is to make your product feel dependable enough that a manager can stake their reputation on it. 2025's funding boom did not remove the oldest startup rule: traction beats pitch decks. Founders who figured out scrappy distribution earned the right to raise. Practical guides for AI businesses in 2025 stressed cold outreach, niche communities, and partnerships with existing SaaS platforms as the fastest ways to secure early customers. Some of the most promising early-stage AI startups grew by embedding into established ecosystems, e-commerce tools, CRM platforms, or developer clouds rather than trying to replace them. In 2026, early go-to-market can include targeted outreach by identifying 5,100 potential users in a narrow niche and sending personalized messages showing a short Loom or demo tailored to their workflow. Done-for-you pilots where you manually support early users, even if it means doing unscalable things behind the scenes, and content and community by sharing concrete case studies, not vague AI thought leadership. Once you have a handful of committed users, you can formalize feedback loops and prioritize features that drive retention and expansion. With AI attracting an outsized share of venture dollars in 2025, it is tempting in 2026 to view fundraising as the goal. That mindset is dangerous. Data from 2025 shows AI startups capturing a third to nearly half of global VC funding, with seed, Series A, and later stage rounds all priced above non-AI peers. However, investors increasingly focus on business fundamentals, revenue growth, unit economics, and genuine product market fit in a specific segment. A 2026 AI startup is ready to raise when it has repeat usage from real customers who would be upset if the product disappeared. It understands acquisition channels well enough to scale them with capital. And it can articulate why AI is a defensibility layer, not just a marketing label. Examples like Lovable show that capital can dramatically accelerate what is already working, scaling from initial ARR to 9-figure revenue with disciplined hiring and global expansion. Founders should treat fundraising as fuel poured onto an existing fire, not as a way to spark one. One of the biggest shifts from the early 2020s to 2026 is the availability of sophisticated infrastructure. You no longer need to build your own model from scratch to be an AI startup. Cloud providers, foundation model labs, and specialized platforms now offer training, fine-tuning, and deployment as managed services. AI startup playbooks in 2025 advise teams to lean on these platforms, especially in the early stages, and focus internal effort on proprietary data and workflows. A smart 2026 architecture might look like foundation models from major providers, with light customization for your domain, vertical logic and UX built on no-code, low-code builders, or AI platforms like Lovable for rapid iteration, and a data layer carefully designed for quality, consent, and long-term advantage. This approach reduces time to market, keeps burn lower, and allows your team to invest where competitors cannot easily copy you. AI reshapes cost structures, but it does not remove the need for a solid business model. In 2026, you have to decide how your AI value becomes revenue. Many successful AI startups in 2025 followed SaaS patterns, subscriptions, usage-based billing, or hybrid models tied to API calls and seats. Others built service plus software offerings, where AI tools amplified a consulting or managed service component. Key considerations for 2026 include compute cost versus price to ensure margins remain healthy as usage scales, value-based pricing to charge in proportion to time saved or revenue generated, not just number of queries, and tiered offerings with free or low-cost entry with clear upgrade paths for teams and enterprises. Clear communication around usage limits, data policies, and support tiers can turn early adopters into long-term customers. With thousands of AI tools and startups launched across 2024 and 2025, differentiation is the hardest problem in 2026. Funding trackers show hundreds of heavily funded AI companies across infrastructure, applications, and sector-specific tools. Media coverage tends to concentrate on a handful of breakout stories like Lovable, masking how many similar products fail to reach escape velocity. To stand out, specialize deeply by picking a vertical, like radiology workflows, port logistics, or mid-market B2B sales, and know it better than anyone. Tell a specific story where AI that drafts emails is generic, but AI that reduces quote-to-cash time in manufacturing by 40% is memorable, and build community through education, playbooks, and user groups around your niche that can become defensible assets. In a world where anyone can spin up a demo, your edge is insight into a particular user, not access to a particular model. By 2025, policymakers worldwide were already grappling with AI's impact on jobs, privacy, and safety, and large funding rounds only intensified scrutiny. In 2026, a serious AI startup cannot ignore regulation. Enterprises increasingly ask vendors about data residency, compliance with sector rules, and alignment with evolving AI governance frameworks. Some guidance for founders already includes treating legal and compliance setup as a first-class task, choosing the right structure, standard documents, and contract templates early. Founders should track regional regulations relevant to their industry and deployment markets, bake auditability and logging into their systems from day one, and adopt clear internal guidelines on acceptable use, bias mitigation, and human oversight. Handled well, this can become a selling point rather than a burden. The story of 2025 is that AI moved from curiosity to core infrastructure, with Lovable as a vivid demonstration of how quickly an AI-native startup can reach massive scale. The story of 2026 will be about which founders use that new reality to build enduring companies rather than fleeting tools. If you start now, you inherit a capital market eager to fund real AI value, not just buzzwords, platforms that compress years of engineering into weeks of product development, and a playbook shaped by 2025's winners and losers for going from idea to traction with discipline. The window is wide open, but it will not stay that way forever. The founders who treat 2026 as the year to pair aggressive experimentation with ruthless focus, learning from examples like Lovable while carving their own vertical niche, will define the next decade of tech.